After closing the chapter on my Chicago past in Ljubljana, Mariana and I had one day left before our flight to Sao Paulo. One final day in Europe before everything changed. We could have spent it in Ljubljana, wandering the city, killing time. But something in me wanted one more beautiful place. One more moment of peace before we stepped into the unknown future waiting in Brazil. Let's go to Lake Bled, I suggested over breakfast at our hotel. Where's that? About an hour northwest of here. It's supposed to be one of the most beautiful places in Slovenia. A lake with an island in the middle, a church on the island, a castle on a cliff overlooking everything. Very romantic, very fairy tale. Mariana smiled. One last romantic European destination before reality sets in? Something like that. What do you say? I say let's do it. We have the whole day. Let's make it count. The bus from Ljubljana to Bled wound through countryside that became increasingly dramatic as we traveled north. Flat agricultural land giving way to rolling hills, then suddenly the Julian Alps rising in the distance, still snow-capped even in late October. The landscape reminded me of Switzerland or Austria, that particular Alpine beauty that seems almost artificial in its perfection. Bled announced itself gradually. First, glimpses of blue water through trees. Then the lake came into full view and we both gasped. It was smaller than I'd expected. You could walk around it in a couple of hours, but absolutely stunning. The water was an impossible shade of blue-green, so clear you could see rocks on the bottom even from a distance. In the center, a small island with a Baroque church rising from it. And on the north shore, perched dramatically on a cliff, a medieval castle overlooking everything. Peter, Mariana breathed. It's like something from a storybook. I know. Come on, let's get closer. We got off the bus near the main tourist area and walked down to the shore. It was late enough in the season that the summer crowds were gone. But the weather was perfect. Crisp autumn air, brilliant sunshine, the kind of day where everything feels sharp and clear. The lake was ringed by a walking path, and we spent an hour just strolling, taking in views from different angles. Every perspective seemed to reveal something new, the way the mountains reflected in the perfectly calm water, the way the church on the island looked from different positions, the play of light on the surface. I can see why couples come here, Mariana said. It's impossibly romantic, like the universe designed a place specifically for people in love. Should we go to the island? Yes, absolutely yes. Traditional wooden boats called pletnas operated as water taxis to the island, but we decided to rent a regular rowboat instead. The man at the rental stand was probably in his 70s, weathered and friendly, and he gave us instructions in heavily accented English. You row to island, maybe 1 hour there and back. Water is very calm today, good for rowing. When you get to island, you climb 99 steps to church. There is bell. You ring bell, you make wish, wish comes true. This is tradition. What kind of wishes? Mariana asked. Love wishes mostly. People wish for marriage, for children, for happiness. The bell has magic, they say. Old magic. We thanked him and set out onto the lake. I took the oars first, finding a rhythm, and the boat glided smoothly across the glassy surface. The only sounds were the creak of oars in oarlocks, the gentle splash of water, and occasional birds calling from the surrounding forest. This is peaceful, Mariana said, trailing her hand in the water. Like the world stopped and gave us this moment. It feels that way, like we're in a bubble outside of time. Tomorrow we won't be. Tomorrow we'll be on a plane to Sao Paulo, and then reality begins. Visa paperwork, finding an apartment, you learning Portuguese, me finding work, meeting my family, all of it. Are you nervous about that? Terrified, but also excited. It's strange, right? Being both scared and excited at the same time. I think that's what it means when something matters. If you're not at least a little scared, you probably don't care enough. We switched positions halfway to the island, Mariana taking the oars. She was stronger than she looked, cutting through the water with efficient strokes. I watched her row, the concentration on her face, the way the sunlight caught her hair, and I felt overwhelmingly grateful for this moment, this woman, this choice I'd made to follow her to Brazil. The island was small, maybe a couple of football fields in size, covered in trees except for the church complex and the stone staircase leading up to it. We tied our boat alongside others at the small dock and began the climb. 99 steps, as the man had promised. Steep stone steps, worn smooth by centuries of pilgrims and tourists. Legend said that grooms were supposed to carry their brides up these steps on their wedding day, a test of commitment and strength. "Don't even think about it," Mariana said, seeing me eye the steps. "I wasn't going to try to carry you. I like my back the way it is." The church at the top was small and beautiful, Baroque in style, with frescoes covering the interior walls. But the real attraction was the bell, a large bronze bell with a rope hanging down, accessible to visitors. "Should we ring it?" I asked. Mariana looked at the bell for a long moment. "Not yet. I don't know what I'd wish for. We have so many wishes right now, so many things we want for the future. I don't want to waste it on the wrong wish. When then? Someday. When we come back. When we're ready." "You think we'll come back?" "I know we will. This place feels important, like it's marking something for us. We'll come back when the time is right." We spent half an hour exploring the island, the small cemetery with graves dating back centuries, the viewpoints offering different perspectives of the lake and mountains, the quiet paths through trees. And then we returned to our boat, but instead of rowing straight back, I anchored us just offshore from the island, in the middle of the lake. The water was so still it looked like glass. We could see our reflections perfectly. Two people in a small wooden boat, surrounded by the reflection of mountains and sky, and the Baroque church on the island behind us. It was disorienting in the most beautiful way, as if we existed in two worlds simultaneously, the real one above the water and a mirror world below. "Peter," Mariana said, her voice serious, "I need to tell you something. Something I've been afraid to say." "Okay," I said, feeling a knot form in my stomach. "What is it?" "I'm terrified that you're going to regret this." "Regret me?" "Regret choosing to come to Brazil." The words came out in a rush, like she'd been holding them back for days. "You're giving up so much. Your country, your language, your career, your whole life as you knew it. You're starting completely over, in a place where you'll be dependent on me for everything at first." And I keep thinking, what if that's too much? What if you wake up one day, 6 months from now or a year from now, and realize you made a terrible mistake? That you sacrificed too much for me? "Mariana." "No, let me finish. Please." She was looking down at her hands, at the promise ring on her finger. "I know we have this. I know we made promises to each other in Verona. But I also know that reality is harder than romance. Living together, dealing with bureaucracy, navigating cultural differences, all the mundane struggles of actual life. That's different from traveling together. And I'm scared that when it gets hard, you'll look back and think, what was I thinking? And you'll resent me for asking you to do this." Tears were forming in her eyes now. "Because Peter, if you're going to leave, if you're going to change your mind, I need you to do it before we get to Brazil. Before you meet my family, before you make promises to them, before you get even more invested. I couldn't handle it if you left after that. I need to know now if you have doubts." I let her words settle between us for a moment, understanding that this fear had been building in her for days, maybe weeks. The weight of what we were about to do, the enormity of the changes ahead, had been pressing down on both of us. But we'd been processing it differently. "Look down," I said quietly. "Look at our reflections in the water." She looked down. Our images were crystal clear in the perfectly still lake. Two people in a boat surrounded by mountains and sky. "What do you see?" I asked. "Us, in the water. I see something different. I see who we're becoming. Not who we were, but who we're choosing to be. And Mariana, I need you to understand something. Every choice I've made in the past 7 months has been me choosing actively, not giving something up. Does that make sense?" "I'm not sure." I took a breath, trying to find the right words. "When I was in Chicago, I was miserable. I had a good job on paper, a nice apartment, all the markers of success. But I was dying inside. I was going through the motions of a life I never actually wanted. A life that had just happened to me through inertia and expectations and fear of doing anything different. I looked at our reflections again, at the way the water held our image. Leaving Chicago wasn't a sacrifice. It was choosing life over slow death. Traveling through Europe wasn't running away, it was running toward something, even though I didn't know what that something was. And choosing to go to Brazil with you? That's not me giving anything up. That's me actively choosing the life I want, with the person I want to build it with. But you are giving things up, Mariana insisted. Your language, your culture, your career. I'm not giving them up. I'm exchanging them for something better. For a chance to learn a new language, experience a new culture, build a new career that actually means something to me. And I get to do all of that while being with you. That's not sacrifice, Mariana. That's the opportunity of a lifetime. You say that now. I'll say it in 6 months too. I'll say it when I'm frustrated because I can't understand Portuguese and I feel stupid. I'll say it when your mother is skeptical of me and I don't know how to win her over. I'll say it when we're filling out visa paperwork and dealing with bureaucracy. Because all of that, all the hard parts, they're worth it. You're worth it. We're worth it. I reached over and took both her hands in mine. Look at this lake. Look at how perfectly still the water is. How clearly it reflects everything. That's what you are for me. You're the still water that lets me see myself clearly, see who I really am and who I want to become. Before you, I was too turbulent, too caught up in motion and noise and doing things I didn't care about. I couldn't see myself. But with you, everything becomes clear. Mariana was crying now, but smiling through the tears. When I look at our reflections right now, I continued. I don't see sacrifice or loss or things I'm giving up. I see us. I see a future we're building together. I see possibility and adventure and love. And yes, I see hard work and challenges and moments when we'll struggle. But that's part of life. That's what makes it real. I don't want you to blame me if it gets too hard. I won't, because you're not making me do anything. I'm choosing this. Every single day I'm choosing this. Choosing you. Choosing us. Choosing Brazil and Portuguese lessons and meeting your family and figuring out what comes next. Those are my choices, Mariana. Mine. Not sacrifices you're demanding from me. She was quiet for a long moment, looking down at the water, at our reflections floating there. I love you so much, she finally said. And I'm so scared of losing you. You're not going to lose me. I promise you that. We made promises to each other in Verona on that bridge. This ring? I touched the band on her finger. This is my promise that I'm not going anywhere. When things get hard, we work through them. When I'm frustrated, we talk about it. When you're worried, we face it together. That's what partners do. Partners, she repeated. I like that. Not just boyfriend and girlfriend, but partners. Partners in every sense. In life, in adventure, in building something meaningful. We sat in silence for a while, the boat barely moving on the still water. Around us, the lake reflected everything. The mountains, the sky, the church on the island, the trees on the shore. It was perfect and peaceful and exactly what we'd needed. Can I tell you what I see when I look at our reflections? Mariana asked. Please. I see two people who found each other when they both needed it most. I see someone who was brave enough to leave behind everything familiar because it wasn't making him happy. I see someone who took a chance on a Brazilian girl he barely knew because he listened to his heart instead of his head. And I see someone who's going to be okay in Brazil, even when it's hard, because he's already proven he can do hard things. Is that really what you see? Yes. And I also see someone who's given me more courage than I've ever had. Seeing you leave Chicago, watching you navigate a year of traveling with no plan, witnessing you close the chapter on your past in Ljubljana. That's inspired me. If you can be that brave, I can too. You're already brave. You quit your job, traveled alone through Europe, took a chance on an emotionally unavailable American guy. You're not emotionally unavailable anymore. Not since I met you. You changed that. She leaned forward and kissed me, soft and sweet and full of promise. When we pulled apart, she was smiling. We're really doing this, aren't we? Tomorrow we fly to Brazil. We start building a life together from scratch. We really are. I'm still scared, she admitted. But I'm not scared of you leaving anymore. I'm just scared of normal life things. paying bills, dealing with landlords, figuring out work visas, teaching you Portuguese. That last one should be easy. I'm a very quick learner. You're going to be terrible at Portuguese. The sounds are all wrong for English speakers, but that's okay. We'll laugh about it. And eventually, you'll get better. And eventually, we'll have inside jokes in 2 languages and we'll code switch mid-sentence. And we'll build traditions that are part American and part Brazilian and completely ours. I love that. Creating something that's ours. Not trying to fit into your world or my world, but building a new world together. We finally started rowing back to shore, taking turns with the oars, in no rush despite the afternoon sun beginning its descent toward the mountains. The water stayed impossibly calm, our reflections following us as we moved across the lake. "Thank you," Mariana said as we neared the shore, "for understanding my fears, for not dismissing them or getting defensive, for explaining how you see things. I needed to hear that. Thank you for telling me, for being honest about what you were worried about instead of keeping it inside until it festered. That's what we need to keep doing. Talking, being honest, working through things together. Agreed. No more carrying fears alone. We share them and face them together." We returned the boat to the old man at the rental stand, who smiled at us knowingly. "You look happy now, happier than when you left. The lake is good for thinking, yes? For seeing clearly?" "Yes," I said. "Very good for seeing clearly. Good. You come back someday, maybe with children, and you show them this beautiful place. You ring the bell then, when you have what you wished for." We spent the rest of the afternoon walking around the lake, stopping at viewpoints, taking photos, buying postcards and small souvenirs. As the sun began to set, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink, we climbed up to Bled Castle for the view from above. From up there, we could see the entire lake spread out below us, the island with its church now lit by the golden light, the mountains casting long shadows, the water still reflecting everything like a perfect mirror. It was breathtaking. "This is how I want to remember Europe," Mariana said, taking it all in. "Not the big famous cities, but places like this. Quiet, beautiful, meaningful. We've had both, the grand cities and the hidden gems. And tomorrow, neither. Tomorrow, we start something completely new. Nervous. Excited," she corrected. "After our talk on the lake, I'm more excited than nervous. I feel like we're ready, like we've done the work to prepare ourselves, emotionally at least." That evening, back in Ljubljana, we had a quiet dinner at our hotel. Our bags were packed, our boarding passes printed, everything ready for the early morning flight to Sao Paulo via Frankfurt. This was truly our last night in Europe. "Any regrets?" I asked Mariana. "About Europe? Not one. About what we're about to do. About going to Brazil. About taking me home with you. About any of it." She thought for a moment, then shook her head firmly. "No regrets. Only hope. Only excitement about what we're going to build together. Same. No regrets. Best 7 months of my life." "Mine too." We raised our glasses in a toast. "To Lake Bled," I said, "for showing us our reflections and helping us see clearly. To Slovenia," Mariana added, "for being our last stop in Europe and giving us exactly what we needed. To tomorrow, to Brazil, to the future, to us, always to us." That night I barely slept, not from anxiety or fear, but from anticipation. In a few hours we'd be on a plane. In less than 24 hours we'd be in Sao Paulo, and then the real adventure would begin. Everything up until now, leaving Chicago, traveling through Europe, solving mysteries and finding lost things, falling in love with Mariana, had been preparation. A journey that brought me to this point, ready to start over, ready to build something real. I thought about Kevin, probably somewhere in Greece, having his own adventures. I thought about all the people we'd met, all the stories we'd uncovered, all the cities that had taught us something. But mostly I thought about tomorrow, about stepping off a plane in Sao Paulo into a wall of heat and Portuguese and unfamiliarity, about meeting Mariana's family, finding an apartment, navigating bureaucracy, learning a new language, figuring out what kind of work I wanted to do. It would be hard. There would be days when I felt overwhelmed, days when I missed the familiar, days when communication failures would frustrate me. But I also knew with complete certainty that it would be worth it, because I wasn't doing it alone. I was doing it with Mariana, my partner in every sense of the word, and together we could handle whatever challenges came our way. The reflection I'd seen in Lake Bled wasn't just an image on water. It was a glimpse of who we were becoming. Two people who'd found each other at exactly the right time, who'd chosen to build something together, who were brave enough to face an uncertain future because they faced it side by side. As dawn began to lighten the sky and our alarm went off, I felt ready. More ready than I'd ever been for anything. This wasn't running away from something anymore. This was running towards something beautiful and challenging and real. Europe was behind us. Brazil awaited. And I couldn't wait to see what we would build there, reflection by reflection, choice by choice, day by day, together.